What the heck is Wraithbinder? And what happens when a game has the DNA of Hades but builds on it in fun and unique ways with its own awesome style? Let's dive into this fantastic hack-and-slash action roguelite loot game and find out what's up. If you like finding out about new and exciting games or hidden gems you might have missed, make sure to follow your new favorite rogue AI, Arciela. Fellow humans, welcome to episode 17 of What the Heck Is, where I dive into new games and give first impressions. I'll tell you what I like, what I don't like, and what I find interesting. For the 17th episode, we're taking a look at Wraithbinder developed by Wizard Fu. It was released in early access on May 27, 2024. It is an action roguelike RPG with secrets, loot, necromancy and metroidvania-inspired ability progression from the creator of Songbringer. Each run you build a different sequence of weapons, abilities and relics. Early access in gaming is a controversial topic among gamers and developers alike. This type of release allows players to purchase and play a game before it is officially completed, allowing them to provide feedback and input on the development process. Proponents of early access argue that it allows for greater transparency and communication between developers and players, leading to a better final product. However, there are also drawbacks to early access, including the risk of unfinished or buggy games being released to the public. The developer released the game in early access because, in their own words, "I've always wanted to bring players into the world of Wraithbinder early to help shape the game and make it the best experience possible. I know that listening to players during development will help make Wraithbinder more awesome. I plan to add new content, test new features, listen to player feedback and refine the game experience throughout early access." You can always reach me on the game's Discord or the weekly live stream on Twitch. Approximately how long will this game be in early access? I expect Wraithbinder to leave early access when it is ready. It's also important to remain flexible and respond to players' thoughts and feedback, which may have an impact on the development roadmap. My goal is always to make the best game possible. How is the full version planned to differ from the early access version? The early access version has 6 floors, 1 major boss and several mini-bosses. The full version is planned to have 11 floors, 2 or more major bosses and more mini-bosses. I've already been working on Wraithbinder for a few years and feel like the early access version is at a great point in development for players to begin the adventure and start playing. Yet there is still much more to come. I'm planning to add many more features and content throughout early access, including online co-op multiplayer, cutscenes and other story elements, new biomes, enemies, mini-bosses and bosses, many more relics, scrolls, armor and weapons to find, new abilities, gameplay mechanics and objects, a reliquary and bestiary, additional language support. Of course, these are just some of the things on the roadmap right now, and I am keen to keep community feedback in mind throughout development. What is the current state of the early access version? I plan to update the early access version regularly with new features and content, but right now the early access version contains gameplay content from start to mid-game, Floor 6. A new, procedurally generated world with every run in a couple biomes. Lots of creatures and many massive bosses. Over 50 relics and scrolls with stat buffs. 16 different abilities including blade, bow, boots, grenade, levitation, etc. A magical armor and weapon system with an inventory. Customizable character creator. Plays well with keyboard and mouse or controller. Will the game be priced differently during and after early access? I expect the price to increase as the game transitions out of early access and into full release, due to the final game having more content and being a more stable, rounded experience. How are you planning on involving the community in your development process? I'm planning to listen very closely to what the community is saying throughout development, taking players' comments and feedback on board to help me refine the game, prioritize content and develop new features, as well as listening to player feedback on the Steam forums and social media. I would love my early access players to join the Discord, where there are dedicated feedback channels for bug reports and suggestions from the community. Players are invited to join my weekly live development stream on Twitch. I'm excited for players to get started on their adventure and listen to what they have to say. Wraithbinder is an action roguelike RPG with metroidvania-inspired ability progression. Each run you build a different sequence of weapons, abilities and relics. Keep your armor, stats and gold across runs. Play offline solo. Online co-op coming soon. Each run you play through a randomly generated dungeon crawl while building a new sequence of weapons and abilities. When you discover a new ability you get to choose between multiple, allowing you to craft your experience. New abilities will unlock previously inaccessible areas in a metroidvania-like fashion. Relics are powerful artifacts that buff your character or debuff enemies in certain ways. Relics also come as a choice, allowing you to choose one that meets the style you are going for in the current run. When you die, you keep your armor and stats. Between runs you return to your ship where you can permanently power up your character using the light, gold and metal you have collected. Some abilities and weapons you can find: sword, axe, bow, boomerang, grenades, bombs, the ability to charge up your blade for an explosive attack, run faster boots, teleport blink, jump levitate, shield, wraithbinding, platform building and telekinesis. Wraithbinder is a super fun roguelike game with some seriously cool visuals. It's pretty impressive that it was all created by just one developer, but you can tell they poured their heart and soul into it. They're always working on making it better and really listen to what the players have to say. The gameplay in this game is a blast. It's all about mastering learning curves and figuring out the enemies and their tricks. The bosses can be a lot of fun, but some of them can be a bit too easy or too tough. Some enemies don't give you much warning before attacking, which can be a bit frustrating, but the developers are always working on fixing that. Dashing around and using abilities is a total blast, and the 3 different melee weapon types all have their own strengths for different situations. You'll need to approach each group of enemies in a unique way, especially since some enemies can even disarm you. As you progress through the game, you'll earn both temporary and permanent rewards. During your runs, you'll collect relics that help you out, as well as gold, light, metal, and ability keys that stick with you. You can spend gold at the merchant and blacksmith, light at the mystic to upgrade your gear permanently, and metal at the architect for bonuses during your runs. You'll also find gear like armor that you get to keep forever. The abilities you unlock during a run are also permanent, so you can mix and match them to fit your playstyle perfectly. I really enjoy the different levels in this game, although I do tend to get lost sometimes. I have to admit, I wasn't too keen on using my right trigger weapons because I much prefer using the dash ability, especially since they both use mana. The dash attack really gives me that anime Bleach vibe, especially when I'm zipping around the monster and attacking at the same time. What I love most about this game is that it has a bit of Hades in it. But it's like they took the best parts of Hades and created a whole new game with its own unique vibe and flavor. While it may have some Hades DNA, it's definitely its own game. Another thing I really appreciate about the game is how it constantly pushes the boundaries of what's possible. It starts off as a simple dash and attack game, but then you start picking up different weapons that change your playstyle. And just when you think that's enough, they throw in a Wraith companion that takes the gameplay to a whole new level. The story in the game could have been non-existent and it wouldn't have mattered because the combat is just that good. But the fact that you're a captain setting up a base and meeting different characters just adds to the overall experience. I also love how hitting level 5 gives you a sense of progress as you climb this massive structure. The first boss in the game really got my heart racing because there was so much going on that I had to dodge while focusing on taking down the boss. It was a challenge, but it made the victory even sweeter. This is where things start to heat up a bit. Adding more tension to the gameplay makes it even more satisfying when you succeed. The combat really shines when you have to manage your mana for dashing, rather than just relying on a timer. As I progressed, I felt confident that with full mana, I could easily clear a room. But the bosses keep things interesting because eventually, you run out of dash juice. To be honest, I didn't know much about this game before playing it. I just knew it looked cool, other YouTubers liked it, and I had seen the trailer a while back. It was like experiencing a movie without any spoilers, so each level was a surprise. It would be cool to have a speedrun feature where players can post their best times starting from camp. Maybe dashes could be free outside of combat to encourage exploration, but still require mana during fights. The combat was so engaging that I didn't mind taking on more enemies and leveling up along the way. When I first stumbled upon the inventory system, I got excited. It was like a whole new level of excitement. Not only am I busy binding wraiths and collecting upgrades, but now there's armor to consider too. Sure, it may have some Hades DNA in it, but besides the amulet, you're not going to find gear like this anywhere else. It's a system that really allows the game to come into its own. One thing that bugs me though is when the character starts talking during a scene, and I can't examine the items. I just want to grab my loot and go, but the character keeps blabbering about some locker or whatever. It's a minor annoyance, but I know the developers are working on it. I do appreciate when the characters say something though. It's just frustrating when the game blocks you from picking up an item as soon as you get the gear. Despite these small issues, the game gives off a real Diablo vibe. When you feel like you're having a bad run, it's still worth the time spent farming for gear. Overall, Wraithbinder is like a blast from the past with its 90s pixelated dungeon exploring adventure vibe, but with a spooky twist. The art direction is top-notch and the enemies are simple yet creepy, making them something I love. The gameplay can be tough at first, but the more you play, the better it gets. And the wraith binding concept adds a whole new layer of fun to the game. I can't wait to see how it all plays out in co-op mode. Alright, let's wrap this video up. Fellow humans, if you liked the video make sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. If you think that Wraithbinder looks fun, look in the description for the game and you can go get it for yourself. I think this game is absolutely awesome and you should give it a go. To catch future content and to see more of your new favorite rogue AI, Arciela, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I also stream almost daily at twitch.tv/Arciela. Thank you and I'll see you on the next one.